So we're gonna go check out a life coach today, you guys. This has kind of been on my bucket list, something I've been wanting to do. I don't think that my parking spot is the greatest, so I would like to redo that. We're gonna record this whole experience and see what it's like together. So the person I'm meeting with, her name is Tammy. Let's go ahead and turn my car off, and we're gonna unlock my car, and then actually we're gonna see if I can do something really quick without ending the video. See if it's still going. Still going. All right, let's go check this out, shall we? Hi. Are you Tammy?
The name that came up on the phone is Trina.
Yeah.
I'm Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
Nice to meet you.
You as well.
Let me have you just fill this out real quick. Oh, your hands are cold.
Yeah. Been out in the rain.
Do I need to get you a blanket for when we go sit in there? Get all comfy? I actually had to pull some blankets out because I was so cold today.
Paperwork is not my favorite.
Thankfully, this one isn't too bad.
Yeah, compared to other places.
Yeah. I prefer just to sit down and chat, you know? But we need
I know.
just the basics.
Personal goals.
Well, I guess it would just be kind of why you're here. To chill out, to have more peace, more joy, less worry, less stress.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We good?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Would you like some water?
Hot tea would be great.
Okay. There is a dispenser right over here.
Oh, awesome.
I'll show you because it's funky the way you have to. It's kind of opposite. You would think that the light would be on to mean it was locked, but you have to press the unlock and the light comes on. That means it's unlocked. I don't know.
So is it unlocked?
Yes, it's unlocked. Would you prefer a regular?
That'd be great.
Over
I'm just
the,
gonna do some ginger, I guess.
and then just hit. Oh, you have to press it again.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is not a Keurig, or it's different.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It is different. It's so the kids won't push themselves on it, but it's like anything that's child.
Oh, so that's why it's locked?
Yeah, it's like anything that's child-proof. Sometimes it's adult-proof. You can also press the big black button back here, but
Interesting.
yes.
We want what everybody wants.
Peace. What's this?
All right. So tell me a little bit about what's going on in your life.
I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I'm an adventurous soul. I'm very spiritual.
Good.
I'm kind of obsessed with Edgar Casey and
Love
Akashic
Edgar
Records.
Casey. Mm-hmm.
I'm headed to the ARE in Virginia this
You
weekend.
are? Nice. I've wanted to go. I haven't been yet.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
I've been like kind of manifesting a lot of crazy things that I always wanted to do. Like I wanted to go to the Georgia Guidestones. I just recently did that. I'm a spiritual warrior, you could say.
Awesome.
I have a lot of warrior energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very intuitive and sensitive.
Okay.
So like that also gets weird, especially
Mm-hmm.
like when a lot of people aren't accepting that they have a soul or
Mm-hmm.
aren't very spiritual at all, or
Right.
like they don't believe in multiple dimensions, they don't
Yeah.
believe in aliens, they don't
Right.
very close-minded.
Yeah. So you find it like difficult to be around those people, or are you
sometimes.
Just... Okay.
Or just I struggle to deal with the challenges that they throw at me, like when someone just is completely like disbelieving. And it's like I don't really have like any better evidence than they could find themselves by doing their own homework kind
Right.
of thing, you know? Or like I'm also like kind of into like some conspiracy theories like
Mhm.
Federal Reserve and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm very
How old are you?
aware. I'm 26.
You are an old soul, girl.
I am. I'm really into all that stuff, and then like I kind of feel like an outcast because like no one else is into that stuff, and then like I don't do well under circumstances where I'm obligated to do things. I found out.
Okay.
I mean, if I want to do it, it's different. But like if I have any obligations, like just that alone can just make me just not like anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I always do well when I'm my own boss. I do multiple different things to make money, to be honest. I run YouTube. I was a mermaid for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I ran a business doing that. I do underwater stunts. I've done modeling.
Mm-hmm.
I do tarot readings downtown right now.
That's awesome.
And just like, I'm kind of at a fork where it's like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? Because it's like, I just don't see, I don't understand yet how I'm going to do tarot readings forever, or like I'm actually looking to increase my services right now, like maybe crystal healing, or
Okay.
I have no clue what I'm doing, frankly. Like I was looking into like some kind of stability backbone, like maybe doing, like my initials are TCM, so I'm interested in traditional Chinese medicine too. So I was wondering about doing that.
Right.
I don't know, like because I'm such a free spirit, like I feel like I have like almost no stability in my life, you could say, because it's like my job is constantly like all my income is if come.
Right.
So it's like,
Right.
what am I gonna do, or like what's happening,
Right.
or like is this gig gonna come through? Is someone gonna book me for this event? And like,
Does it always usually come together?
yeah, but it's like I still like don't have like a clear map out. Like maybe like this month I'll make $1,000, and then next month maybe I'll make $3,000, or
Right.
I mean I'm just using random variables there
Right.
essentially. But it's like sometimes I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how much I'm gonna make. So then it also like worries me. Like I'm renting a room right now from someone for like extremely cheap rate. I feel like it's like $450 a month, everything included.
Wow, that is good.
But then I deal with like the roommate situation,
Right.
which they're completely different people from me. They do not eat organic and they don't
Right.
eat clean, and then they're this chaotic environment sometimes, just even being around their energy, and I'm so sensitive.
Yeah.
And so right now I want my first place. Like I want to live on my own,
Mm-hmm.
but then the whole not stable income and then not being able to really function well in normal jobs, which I've tried tons of them.
Right.
It just didn't work out.
Right.
So I'm just like,
Kind of feel like you're at a crossroads.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very spiritually hungry, like seeking answers. I'm trying multiple different things. I always wanted to see a life coach, so like when the opportunity presents itself, I was like, this feels appropriate. So I just wanted to see
Awesome.
what happened.
Well, just so you know, a lot of my coaching comes from a spiritual place. I mean, it's really divine. I just kind of sit here and be present, and whatever kind of comes through.
So your channel.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't feel like it's not I'm not doing anything on purpose. I just know because of the ideas and things that come through that it is divine and that I'm being guided, but I don't, like I'm not a medium. I don't feel like I'm channeling anybody in particular. It's just, I just know that this is just, divine. It's just how it's all supposed to be, and it works, and the connections, and so I trust all of that, but I don't specifically like go into any sort of a state. It just happens.
Comes natural to you.
Yeah, it just comes very natural. But I know that it's not mean. You know, like some people will say, you know, don't you get exhausted, you know, talking to people all day? And no, because I don't feel like I really have to use my brain power. It's not, I don't take it on, it just comes through and it works. So
right.
That's great. But it sounds like you've got a lot of great stuff going on. I'm really happy for you that you are in that space of searching and wondering. So when you're feeling a little, you know, like, what do I do? Where do I go? A little worried. So fear's cropping up. There's some amount of fear that's coming up.
Huge amount of fear.
Right. So do you believe that fear is real?
I believe fear is a gift at some aspects. Like sometimes it can really like prepare us. But the same, like, is it real? Sometimes it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like sometimes it's just like ego or shadow just tearing us apart. So sometimes there is some unrealistic stuff to it as well,
Mm-hmm.
holding us back.
Okay. So what's the acronym? Fear is false evidence appearing as real. So yeah, I don't believe fear is real. I believe that fear are thoughts that we attach meaning to. And, you know, when you talk about stability and security, those are all fear-based as well, and they're illusions, just like control being an illusion. And I get, you know, at your age, you're 26, and it's like, okay, well, this is the way the world works. You know, we make money and we pay our way. But you're also here as a spirit having a human experience.
I'm aware of that.
And your journey here is already mapped out. It's already divinely orchestrated. Have you ever read Journey of Souls?
No, I haven't.
Have you heard of it?
I think I've heard of that. It
Yeah.
reminds me of like Akashic Records though still.
Yeah, it's really powerful that we come here, know our souls knowing what we're here to do, but then we have amnesia, you know, when we come in because we're supposed to learn the things that we're supposed to learn. You're already so far ahead of the game that you understand and know what you know at an early age. You know, that most of us don't ever learn because we're not supposed to this time around, or that we don't learn until later in life. And so you're already at such a great place because you understand the spirituality, you understand the other dimensions, you understand you're a spirit here having a human experience to learn lessons that you're supposed to learn. And I am so sorry.
No worries.
Hello. Hi. Dr. John will be right with you. Okay. Did you have an appointment with them?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Are you a new person?
yeah, so I was seeing maybe I should fill out.
You're the little kid playing with the bell? Sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm not normally interrupted in a life coaching session, but Dr. John didn't know that I was going to have somebody come in because it was last
Yeah, I
month.
hear you.
So,
I do that a lot, by the way.
sorry. Oh, no, that's totally cool. It all works. So, speaking to it all working, that's where trust and faith comes in. You know, that's where when we have, so let me back up. When you have that thought, you know, what am I going to do and how am I going to make a living or gain the
Just like
stability?
the biggest thing for me is like, how does this all make sense? Because like everyone has like a normal job. Yeah, like you have an office or like
Mhm.
you have somewhere to go, or people work behind a yoga studio, and it's just
Right.
like what I'm doing. I feel like is such a unique pattern
Mhm.
that's like I have no other choice but to establish something on my own, which is what kind of I'm channeling through you right now. It's like
Right.
I am meant to just open my own office or something like that and just
Mm-hmm.
figure out on my own. Though that's also more frightening because it's like no one can tell me what to do. Everything's in my hands, and then yeah, the money situation starts to freak me out too. Like, how am I going to afford an office? And then, like, what about all the other stuff in between, like liabilities or insurances, or like, how do I even know what I need and how do I keep myself safe? And
Right. So, okay. So, if money were no object, what would you be doing?
I definitely think I would open up an office of some sort.
You would? Okay.
Yeah. Like a wellness center almost, or
Okay.
something like that.
Awesome. So you definitely want to help people.
Hugely.
And you want to help people in a spiritual sense or more of a wellness, like holistic sense?
See, I'm into all of it, and that's also what gets really frustrating. Like, when I was a kid, I met this girl who was like a beautician, and we used to fantasize about this place called like Look Good, Feel Good, like where girls, or I guess dudes too, like people come in, get their makeup done, nails, hair, like, and then they also have like psychology or psychiatrists, and then like you do yoga, and there's other stuff offered there. I mean, I really just kind of want to create like a sacred space. I would want to do something with crystals and just different elementals, plants, and yeah, stuff like that. I definitely want colorful walls like this, what you have going on. I mean, I don't really know. It's just like, it's kind of really out there right now. And then the other thing that like freaks me out more than anything is like, all right, so I have this vision, but like where? Because like if I had the choice of the whole world, where do I go? And I've lived in Florida my whole life.
Okay.
And like, I keep getting turned around with St. Augustine. Like, am I done with St. Augustine? Like, I've been here like 5 years, and I just I don't know if I've outgrown it, or like if I even fit in here, or like part of me feels like I do, but at the same time I feel like I'm so out there, like it's like maybe I'm meant to have multiple locations. I mean, I just don't know. Or like have a clear sense.
But that's so exciting that you have so many opportunities and so many directions that you could go in, because you're young and you're not tied down. You know, you don't have kids, you don't have roots yet. So that's exciting. So I'm from Southern California, and when I first moved here a long time ago, it was very different here in St. Augustine, and it was definite culture shock. And I never thought I'd raise kids here. My kids are in their 20s now. I have a daughter older than you, actually. And I never thought I'd raise kids here, because I thought, this is a small town in the South, and it's just not who I am. And talk about sticking out like a sore thumb. I mean, when my daughters were little and I would meditate, they would beg me not to do that when their friends came over, because it was just like so unheard of and so weird. Nobody else's friends' moms meditated, and you know, we were in this Bible Belt here, and you know, I practice more Hinduism or Buddhism or you know, things like that. And so it was very different. I always felt very out of place. And especially with eating, I couldn't go to a restaurant and just order off of the menu. You know, being a vegetarian, I was vegan for a while, all of it. And then I became, you know, I'm a health coach, a life coach. I teach yoga, I teach meditation. I do all of this, and it's like, I'm here in the South. You know, what am I doing here? These aren't my people.
Well, you're meant to teach these people.
That's just it. And so that's like, when you're thinking about where am I supposed to be, because you don't feel like you fit in, it's probably exactly where you're supposed to be, because that's where it's needed.
Yeah.
And St. Augustine is pretty progressive. I've seen it really grow quite a bit in the 33 years that I've been here. But so, you know, but all of that, you're still figuring it out, and you're still formulating it. You don't necessarily have to know. I mean, the divine path that brought me to St. Augustine 33 years ago when I was 20 from San Diego was a very strange path. And I knew before I ever got here that I was going to come here, but I didn't know that till I got here. And I realized I was here, and I went, oh yeah, I was supposed to come here. You know, so just having trust and faith that it's all unfolding exactly as it's supposed to. I think that's where the pain and suffering comes in. That's where the fear comes in, is when we forget that we're exactly where we're supposed to be, and that everything is unfolding exactly as it's supposed to. And when we try to force it or control it or need it to look differently than it does, that's when we get stressed. And when we can't really just take a breath and just say, okay, you know, this is where I am, and I'm just going to trust that whatever direction that Spirit pulls me to go in, that's going to be the direction. If you are being pulled to work in an environment like this, then that will happen. You know, you have to trust that that's going to happen. If you are meant, if God puts you here, you know, or, you know, Great Spirit, whatever you want to call it, divine energy,
God
put you here, and I use God just because that's an easy term, especially for this part of the country. If Spirit put you here and put you in that position, that you really have to trust that you will make a living doing that. if that's what you're supposed to be doing. Look at all the spiritual teachers that have come before us. You know, my spiritual teacher included. She used to sleep on people's couches when she first started, you know, doing her spiritual teachings, because one, she didn't feel comfortable charging for it. And two, she just wasn't making a whole lot of money. I mean, she just was being drawn to provide this message, and it's you know, turned into a big thing. She does spiritual retreats all over the world now. And it's if you're called to do it, and that's really what you're supposed to be doing, it's going to open up. It's going to work out for you. My suggestion in the meantime would be, you know, to go and work at a place like that, and to get an understanding of the business side of it. You know, that's an option. Like to go and work administratively. That's one way to make money, and you know, maybe get do yoga teacher training, and become a yoga teacher, or do certifications for like coaching and things like that.
So where do you get coach? Like how do you get how do you become a certified life coach? Like what is that? How's that?
Right. Okay. So
you know? I'm great at coaching you through life. You know,
Right.
It's a little funny.
Well, it does seem like, well, who the hell am I, right?
Well, who the hell is anybody?
Who the hell is anybody, right? All you have to have is a little bit of knowledge or wisdom more than the person that you're speaking with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And definitely a connection. You know, energy or spirit brings all that together. You know, energies are it's divine. You know, you're sitting here today. You know, that was just meant to be.
Yeah.
And so you trust that part of it. But as far as, you know, I've been through hell and back in my life. Just all the journey that I've taken from being sexually abused as a young child, through 4 marriages, through raising 2 children, and and some health issues. You know, you can imagine with all of that craziness. And healing myself from all of that, and in a spiritual and, you know, a holistic way, has brought me to the other side of all that pain and trauma, all that suffering. Oh dear God, all the control, the anger, the fear, you know, that came with all of that. Coming to the other side of it, I have learned so much about the human psyche, and about spirituality, and about our body, you know, physical body, and how it works. So I have now the experiences that I can draw on, but then, like I said too, a lot of it's divine, a lot what comes through. So I do have a lot of knowledge, but I also have gotten to a place where I can open up and allow spirit to guide me, to guide other people. So, you know, it's kind of twofold.
Right.
And that way, just like a psychic. Well, how does a psychic have gifts that other people don't have?
Because, well, the way that I say what I do is like, it's spirit or God or divine,
right.
or angels.
Right.
Sometimes people's
guiding you.
People's angels that are watching over them.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of the same type of thing. Although people do maybe tend to come to you for answers, you know, and that's where sometimes experience can come in. Or
well, a lot of times it seems like people they think that they want answers when really they just want spiritual guidance.
It's very true. That's why the majority of what I do when I coach, even when I'm doing health coaching, you know, or weight loss coaching, the spirituality always comes in, because that's the root core. That's the root core of all of it, is the spiritual side of it, and fear. And fear is really at the root core of all pain and suffering, because all fear is not wanting the situation to be different, or wanting the situation to be different than it is, in all aspects, you know.
And not doing something about it.
Trying to force it to be different than it is, rather than, you know, going more with the flow of what is, and accepting what is, so you can move through what is, rather than resisting what is. And that's what gets a lot of people in trouble, is the resistance. Just the resistance to reality. You know, I was sexually abused. Okay, so, you know, for a long time I was angry about that. But then I realized, well, you know, that they didn't do that to me on purpose to ruin my life. That was about them. You know, yes, it was an experience that I had, and I now know it was part of my path. It was part of leading me right here to this chair.
Yeah, so you can help other people like me that have been through that.
Exactly. You know, and so I trust that. And I'm able to, you know, not only forgive doesn't mean reconciliation, because it was my stepfather who's still married to my mother, so I don't have a relationship with them, and I haven't in 24 years. You know, it doesn't mean reconciliation. It just means all forgiveness is one, freeing yourself, but two, not wanting the past to be any different than it was, because you don't take it personally. Like, I don't take it personally. If I took it personally, oh my God, it ruined my life. You know what I mean? But not taking it personally allows you to see that it was just part of a bigger plan and a bigger picture, and it wasn't something that was done to me on purpose to hurt me. It was their issues
Right.
playing out, you know. So it's in the grand scheme of things, it's okay. It's all okay. So I think the biggest thing is that when we start believing our thoughts, because our thoughts are not real. They're not. They're only real if we attach a meaning to the thought. So the key is, and this is where you have a real advantage over most people, is the key is to understand that your mind isn't running the show. That's just a tool to navigate this human world. You know, so we start out as pure consciousness, and we come into human form, and we're still pure consciousness as a baby. You know, we don't have our minds and our language and the ability to communicate. So we're just in this pure form of just love, you know, and feeling. That's why babies and animals can detect energies and what's good and
Right.
what's bad without even knowing. So then we develop language, and this language and this mind helps us to understand separation, which in a way we need to know duality, right? Because right, wrong, don't walk in the street, you could get hit by a car. I mean, it's part of our survival. It's a part of being human. We need to understand our body's relationship to the world, our mind's relationship, and we need to know language to communicate. But we get stuck in the separation. Me, mine, you, yours. We're separate from each other. We're two separate entities. We lose the pure consciousness that connects us all.
Yeah, I almost put unity on that.
Yeah.
Because that's part of I know that's part of my journey, is like I'm meant to bring people together and
To
make them
unify.
see
Yeah.
what's inside.
But there's no you know, separation here whatsoever. We're all one, and that's what's so cool. And this is what you'll find if you do any work like that or facilitate work like that, is when you're in a group setting and everybody's there for their spiritual healing and growth, that you really see that you're all one. Like, everybody's story is a little different, but it's all the same. You know, it's like you get so much out of each story because you see yourself in everybody and you understand how it's all connected. You really feel that sense of connectedness when you're in that kind of environment. So that's really cool. But so we come in and we learn duality. You know, we learn right, wrong, good, bad, rules, laws. We learn all of that. And then we learn to use our minds, and we start thinking that this character that we are is who we are. And that's not who we are. So I like to use the metaphor of like an actor. So our consciousness, our higher self, God energy, is the actor that is animating the character. So the character of Trina. And but what ends up happening is then we believe we're the character. So if, you know, Johnny Depp became Captain Jack Sparrow and was him 24/7, people would think that he had lost his mind. You know, because that's not reality.
Yeah.
But that's what we're doing every day. We're walking around as these characters, and we're believing that we're these characters, and ego gets involved, and, you know, we think that we have to do and say and be a certain way, and you know, be in this society in a certain way, and that's only made up. It's just a movie. We're here playing a part in a movie. We've agreed to this role. We've agreed to it. But at some point, we have to separate back, and we have to see that's just the character. And what we are behind that character is who we really are. So to differentiate between knowing, which is our higher self, and thought, you know, which is just our thinking brain, it's just our mind, is the key. You know, the key. But we get so stuck in our heads, that's where the meditation and the mindfulness comes in to get us out of our thought process, to really know, to hear
The
our
message is
guidance.
clear, yeah.
Exactly. So when you get to that point of feeling worried or stressed, it's because you're believing your thoughts and you're getting stuck there, and you're not allowing, the trust and the faith that comes with you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and everything is going to be exactly as it should be, so do not worry about it. When I went to teach my first yoga class, I had never taught a class before. It was the day that I was graduating. I went to a gym that had never offered, it was just a small little independent gym, never offered a class before, so I didn't have a following, they didn't have a following, and I'm driving to the yoga class, and all of a sudden I can't breathe. I'm just like, okay, what's going on? Like this weight, this, and I said, okay, I need to do my breathing techniques. I need to calm this down. And then I stopped and I went, where's this coming from? Because I don't get nervous easy. Where's this coming from? And then I recognized, I stopped to see where my thoughts were. And I had been in my head, not even realizing, what if I screw up? What if nobody shows up? I was doing all the fearful thoughts, the what if thoughts. And then I went, okay, well, one, that's not even true, because I don't even have a clue what's going to happen. I'm just putting that out there as if it is already happening. And the interesting thing about that is that your body doesn't know if you're thinking a thought or being chased by a lion. Like, you are having, any fearful thought will produce a physical reaction. It will produce, the chemicals that are being released, that fight or flight, that amygdala is sparked. So so that's why I was having the physical sensation of that fearful thought, but it was just a thought. It wasn't real.
Yeah.
And so when I recognized that and I let go of the thought and I just said, God, if I'm supposed to teach yoga, keep me present. I trust whatever's going to happen is going to be fine. And immediately the breathing went back to normal. I went and I taught 20 people in a yoga class, and it was great. But it was such a great example to me of what our thoughts can do to our life experience if we believe them, especially if they're negative thoughts.
Yeah.
This whole movement of change your thinking, change your life, and think positively and manifest, and all of that is great. And
well, isn't it true? Like, I wanted to ask you about that too. Like, what's
Yeah.
your thoughts on the fact that if you do focus on something negative, how you can manifest that as well?
Absolutely, sure you can. Your fear will become your reality, because the universe is going to
Respond to that energy.
respond to that. Absolutely. And so, is it better to think positive thoughts than negative thoughts? Sure. Much better. But it's actually better not to have thoughts. And we're going to have thoughts because we need thoughts to guide us in our life. You know what I mean? We're here having this human experience, and so we are going to be human, and we are going to have to navigate as a human. But it's not allowing those thoughts to control you. And it's not even about controlling the thoughts. It's about recognizing where the thoughts are and making a choice of what thoughts you're having or what you want to attach to. So that's where meditation is super helpful, because it is the muscle or the exercise that builds that muscle to be able to separate from the thought and really see it and then question it.
See, that's what I'm seeking. Like, I've gone to 10 yoga classes, and I don't feel like I really got anything from that, to be honest.
Okay.
Like, I need help with meditation. Sometimes I'm in the class, I'm stir crazy. Like, even while everyone, I feel like every class I go to, it's the same basic stuff. I mean,
Right.
stuff that I already know.
Right.
And just, I seek something more challenging, or, someone that actually knows the spiritual practice, what parts of the body is open up, or even know the asana names, or just,
Right.
I want to feel like I'm actually learning.
Right.
Instead of feeling like I'm just copying
Just
what they're
moving
doing.
Poses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the key with yoga is getting out of your head and getting in touch with your body. I mean, that's what yoga is all about. So everybody's experience with that is going to be different. But if you can't get out of your head, to stop your thoughts long enough, then, no matter what anybody says to you in a yoga class, it will be hard for you to embrace that. Yes, understanding what pose affects what part of the body, or physically, or what chakra or spiritually, you know, what that pose will do for you, like tree pose or something like that, is helpful, and it's fun, and you gain knowledge that way. But it's really more about feeling. It's really more about getting out of your head and being in tune with your body and your breath.
I struggle so bad to get out of my head, and to, like, because the classes are usually like 6 people or whatever, like I feel like, how do I know that I'm doing the pose correctly? Like, because a lot of times it doesn't feel like I'm doing it right, or just I'm on my thoughts again. Like my thoughts are judging. Like, is this really how this is done? Is this really affecting me the right way?
Right. Yeah. Because you have an expectation, and you want it. You want to get something out of it. You're like, I'm doing it, so I want to know I'm getting something out of it.
Yeah.
Or
Ego.
Ego definitely comes into play. Whenever there's fear, it's always ego. And ego, E-G-O, stands for edging God out. So,
Edging?
Edging God out.
Wow.
Yeah. So I like to think of ego that resides right here. It's like synonymous with the mind. And so when you're stuck in your ego, you're stuck in your head, and it's like this block. You know, it's edging God out. It's blocking that higher energy from coming through. So the more that you can let go of your thoughts and just open, you know, rather than, because a fearful thought, you know, control, fear, any of it is going to contract. It's going to block the energetic flow. And that's where disease will get trapped in your body when we block that. Dis-ease, exactly. So the more that we open and open our minds, open our hearts, open our bodies, you know, let that energy flow through, the more that we do that, the less likely we'll get sick, and the more that then we let God energy through, because we're not blocking it with those fearful thoughts. So the mindfulness meditation that I teach people to do is really about recognizing, so a lot of people will sit down and meditate, and they'll have these thoughts, and they'll think, well, obviously I'm not doing something right if I'm thinking these thoughts. I'm not supposed to be thinking thoughts. Really, the key is recognizing that you're thinking thoughts. Every time you recognize you're thinking a thought, and you go, okay, I'm going to let that go and come back to focusing on my breath, that's the key. That little snippet, that moment that you go, oh, no, whatever, you know, that right there gives you all the benefits, and that builds that muscle. That makes it, you know, more available to you the more you do it, that you can separate from those thoughts. And once you can separate from those thoughts, then you can really be in that space of being the observer, you know, because that's really what we are here. Our soul, the consciousness that's, you know, animating this character, that's the observer. That's really what's real. This character is not what is, you know, making things happen. It's that observer. And so that's what we want to try to get to, is that place of separating from the character. So we can really be in who we are and stay in that space, because that space is pure. You know, that space is when we cross back over to the other side, and you hear stories of people doing that just say, oh my God, that joy, that bliss, that, you know, just,
yeah,
that they feel. That's because they have released this ego, you know, and they're not bound by thoughts anymore. And it's just all lovely and beautiful and good. And so that's really where we want to get to, that non-duality state, that state of not judging anything to be good or bad, right or wrong. It just is. It's just supposed to be, because it is. and even the bad stuff isn't bad. It's necessary.
Yeah, part of the process.
It's absolutely part of the process. And if you embrace everything in your life as being okay, then you don't have the pain and suffering of wanting it to be different. Because when something bad happens, first thing we do, no, no, that can't be happening. No, I don't want that to be happening. Rather than, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? Let's just walk through it. Because that's what we have to do anyway, right? We resist it, and that's when we get into trouble. So the process then of recognizing your thinking and coming back to the body is simple. It's just challenging for a lot of people. But when you feel yourself having a fearful thought, like you feel your body responding to that fearful thought, or you sit there and you say, okay, I want more stability, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, when you recognize that you're going there in your mind, that's when you stop and you give yourself a little break. Because that little break from that thought breaks that pattern to the point that you can then have that higher self guide you. Because you're trying to make it happen with your mind. You're trying to figure it out by yourself. Your human character is trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's when it gets tough.
Let go and let God.
There you go. It says it all, really. I mean, but it's so profoundly true. And it's that simple. You know, that faith and trust really is all it boils down to, is just having faith and trust. You are being guided to do great things in this world. And your generation, you know, I have a younger daughter who's 21. You guys would just get along beautifully because you're both in that stage. And she gets so frustrated because it's like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but I know I need to be doing something,
Yeah.
you know, something profound. I need to be changing the world, kind of a thing. And so I have to have that talk with her quite a bit, you know, just trust.
Chill.
Just chill and trust. I mean, what did I text? I texted her something yesterday that you might be interested in hearing. No, I wasn't there. 6 months from now, you can be in a completely different space, mentally, spiritually, and financially. Keep working and believing in yourself. You know, it's always growing, it's always changing, it's always evolving for your highest and best. And I think that's what the key is knowing that everything you're going through is always for your highest and best. Always. Even if it's horrifying to be going through it. It's always it's for your highest and best, and it's for the highest and best of the collective consciousness. You know, and I tell people all the time that if you want to change the world, heal yourself. That's where it has to start. You know, so the work that you're going to do is necessary for you to get out of your head to be able to do the work. And it took me, I'm in my 50s now, you know, it took me a lot of years to get out of my own way to be able to do the work. And I had to do all the healing to be able to do the work. But I wanted to do this for probably 10 years before I started doing it full time for a living, because it took me that long and I had to really learn patience, and I had to trust the journey, and, you know, work in a job I hated, that I would get up and cry every morning to go to, because I just hated it and wanted to be in this world. And I had to trust. Every day I had to trust. It was all unfolding as it was supposed to. And it wasn't time yet, because it wasn't happening, you know. So that was a big one for this controlling Virgo to let go of.
Perfectionist.
Exactly. I want it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's you know, I don't know if you want to speak to any of that, if you have any questions on any of that. I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know. That just probably validating more that you know. But it really is just more about having trust and faith and letting go of those thoughts. And it's not about not having goals. It's not about not planning, you know, or gathering information like, what do I need to start a business? And, you know, how does all of this work? But it's not getting so attached to the outcome of that, because maybe in the process of doing that, it leads you in a different direction, you know, and you trust where that journey takes you. And, you know, maybe you'll learn something when you go to Edgar Cayce, and something there is going to spark something in you.
Right.
I mean, I say seek as long as you can seek, because that's where I think that's what kind of accelerates our spiritual journeys. You know, I didn't start my spiritual journey until I was in my 30s, and I already had 2 children. So there wasn't a whole lot I could do to take off and go live in an ashram for a while, or, you know, travel to India or go on any sort of a pilgrimage, because I had responsibilities, I had family, which is great. That was the way it was supposed to be. It worked out that way. My children healed me. I had 2 girls, you know, and I knew I needed to heal from my childhood to raise 2 healthy, happy, productive members of society, especially girls, you know. So that was my my journey
Right.
to healing.
How did you figure out your prices? Like, that's also something else I battle with. Like, how do I figure out how much I charge for my services?
Well, you can do that research. What every, you know, if I were in New York City or in California, my prices would probably easily be double what they are here. So it's regional. It's hard to say. That's kind of that's no finite, you know, oh, I'm going to go to the coaching website and, you know,
Yeah.
everybody's different. It's more about, if you build it, they will come, and, you know, you're going to speak to who you speak to, and just kind of have to be guided that way, and kind of play with that and believe in yourself enough to know that you're worth what you're charging. And people that for the longest time, my prayer was, God, use my voice to help others. I didn't know how that was going to look, or what I would be doing, or where I was going to be guided, because I have a lot of different knowledge in a lot of different holistic areas, whether it be health, or, you know, my life coaching experiences, or I teach yoga. It's like I don't really know, but it's kind of all just a big part of the piece. You know what I mean? It's all integrated, is what I mean. Having, you know, just confidence and trust in your message, and then you'll be guided in where you're going to do that, what it's going to be, and how much you're going to charge for it, whether you should be writing a book, you know. And I had spiritual guidance that I thought maybe I should write a book, because my life story's maybe not that much different from a lot of people, but, you know, I've been through some shit and came to the other side of it, so
Right.
there's definitely a story there. You know, I was told no, writing wasn't the venue. It was going to be the spoken word for me. So, and I still feel that it's still evolving. You know, there's more to it. I'm not going to just be in this room forever. There's definitely more to it. But I know that I'm just trusting that's all going to evolve the way it's supposed to too. And like you said, I don't know where I'm supposed to be, or I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Yay. You don't have to know. You don't have to know. And I think that's where we get tripped up too, because knowing is just the mind. That's just a construct of the mind. And it's just like control. Control is an illusion. And the more I tried to have control, the less control I really had. So the letting go of control and trusting actually made things move quicker for me, and actually gave me more control, if that makes sense. So it's you don't have to know. You're not going to know. How are you going to know where you're supposed to be in 5 years? I mean, maybe psychically, you know, look in the crystal ball or read the tarot cards, and they will give you direction. But I can tell you this, I don't think psychics can probably predict for themselves. I don't know, I might be wrong about that, because spirit, or your higher self, is only going to let your human self know what's necessary for you to know, because you're learning lessons. And you have to learn those lessons as a human and go through the trials and tribulations to get where you need to be. So your higher self can't give you answers you're not ready to hear, and can't steer you in a direction that will limit you from those experiences, good or bad, that you're supposed to have. So you don't have to have the need to know. Letting go of the need to know is letting go of the need for those answers and that security that, like I said, are an illusion. You know, if you would have asked me when I was in my 20s if I would have ended up here, no, I wouldn't even have thought that were even on my radar, you know,
Right.
or could be on my radar at that point. So there's so many variables that, yeah, I keep going back to trust. Just have to trust.
But like there has to be a part that I can do to participate to like make sure that I'm taking care of our future Trina is like safe financially or safe like on her own or
Future Trina is safe. Future Trina will always be taken care of and always be provided for, because we all are always going to be taken care of and provided for. If you have to go through a time in your life where you don't feel like you're being supported, it's only because you're having an experience that you don't think you should be having, but in reality, you're really being supported.
like homelessness.
Yeah, right. And I don't think that you will have to do that, because you have too much going for you and too many resources. Like, you're not going to let that happen. You know what I mean? And you know, yes, we have free will. If you absolutely have to have that experience, there's going to be a reason for that at some point to have that experience. But you know, I mean, I look back on being a single mom and raising 2 kids and just, I mean, I feel like so blessed as a human. I feel blessed that I was always able. They always had a home. We always had food. You know what I mean? It's like it all worked out. And I worked part-time. I was home with my kids every afternoon after school, and I was fortunate to do all of that. And looking back, it's like when you're in the midst of it, you just do what you have to do. Like, I don't even know how all of that ended up happening. It just did. It wasn't really because, like, I mean, I did stay in a job for a very long time out of security. A job that I ended up hating, you know, for 21 years while I raised my kids. I was in that world. And I did it because I had the security and I had, you know, the schedule that I wanted, and I had the flexibility to raise my kids the way I wanted to raise them. And it was obviously necessary because it happened and I did it, and it all worked out. But that also didn't leave me financial security for the future. I don't have any of that. I, at 50, changed careers, you know, so I sometimes think that, like, what am I going to do in retirement? I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to retire, you know what I mean? But I don't worry about it, because I get that this is where I'm supposed to be, and if this is divinely orchestrated and this is, you know, what my spirit needs to be doing, I'm going to trust that I will always be provided for. And that, you know, every day God will send me people He wants me to help, and it will continue to grow and evolve, and my voice will be used wherever it is needed until it's not needed there, and then I'll be put into a different direction. But, you know, you're a smart girl, and the one thing that I'm really happy about, whether I chose it or somebody else chose it for me, is that I was given a really good brain. You know, and so in the human world, I can think really well. And so I think that is helpful. It's a double-edged sword, because when you're trying to let go of that brain, it's hard, because the brain is really, you know, that
strong.
Very strong. And that's the harder thing to, you know, the smarter you are, the harder it is to let go of the thinking brain and really trust and just know that everything's okay. But that knowing, really, when you really feel that knowing, it does supersede that brain. But that brain is there to make sure you're never going to be homeless. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know, like,
it's the ego making sure that, like, it's primal, taking care of your primal instinct or
yes.
whatever.
Yeah, it's survival.
Survival, that's it.
Absolutely. But, you know, it's the human experience versus a soul experience. And your soul is always okay. Always. Always, always, always. It can't not be. You know what I mean? There are some people that we might call tortured souls because they are working off karma, and or because they are so disconnected from that source.
Right.
And that's where pain and suffering is being disconnected from that source. So meditation helps to stay connected to the source because it lets go of the ego and the thoughts. Those aren't allowed in meditation. That's when our higher self can come through. So if you want me to give you an introduction to that mindfulness that you can start practicing every day, and that might help too. I swear when I started meditating, I guess I was 34 because my youngest was 2 years old, it changed my world. Absolutely changed who I am,
How often do you meditate?
When I was first learning, because I was like, do or die, seriously. I mean, I was like, bad shape. When I first started meditating, I was doing 20 minutes twice a day, religiously. Now,
how would you create that sacred space? Or what if kids are yelling? Or how do
well, that's interesting that you say that, because when I first started meditating, I would wake up in the morning before the kids and I would meditate before they got up. And then in the afternoon, when I would pick my older daughter up from elementary school, because she was 8 at the time, and I would come home and my younger daughter was 2. And so my older daughter, 20 minutes, I'm in the house, the door is closed, pay attention to your little sister, I'm just going to be 20 minutes. And I would go in the bedroom and I would shut the door. Well, my 2-year-old, who is a handful, she would scream bloody murder outside my bedroom door while I was in there meditating for 20 minutes. I mean, scream. She eventually caught on and she was okay with it. And she's only known me in her whole life to meditate. But that's how I learned to meditate, was with a screaming 2-year-old outside you would have thought she was being murdered. She was just screaming so badly. Because the key is it's not to create a space where there's no distraction. It's to not let the distraction in. That's the key to peace. The key to peace is not letting anything disturb your harmony, because nothing can unless you allow it to. Everything else is external. What other people do and say is their stuff. How you react or not is your stuff. If you can be triggered by a noise, a sound, what somebody says, the president, politics, whatever. If you can be triggered by any of that, it's only showing you that there's something that still needs to heal inside of you. But nothing can disturb your harmony without your permission, period. Nobody, nothing. So that's what meditation teaches us. It teaches us to disconnect from those external, what's the word I'm looking for? Stimulus, and just be present. Just be present, and all of that's okay.
Well, how do you shove that out? Or
well, it's just more of a matter of recognizing it's there and not attaching to it.
What happens when it starts attaching to you? How do you cut those cords?
So you being an empath, there are 5 lessons, and let me see if
I love that you know that, and I didn't use that word.
Oh yeah, I know that you are. Let's see if I stuck it in here. Of course I didn't. Trying to think if I sent that to somebody recently. I switched phones not too long ago, and all my pictures got all messed up, and I had everything sorted in albums and
Mercury retrograde.
Well, maybe I did do it during a time I shouldn't have, but I haven't taken the time to sit down and put them all back together. So I don't know how quickly I'll be able to find this for you. It is on an orange background, so maybe I can spot it. But so it's real important. I'm not an empath. I don't have that thin veil, that you have that takes on other people's energies. So, what's that one? I can tell you forgiveness is huge, and all forgiveness is not wanting the past to be any different than it was, not wanting people to be any different, and also I think understanding that what everybody's going through is exactly necessary for their soul. And so I think as an empath, sometimes we take, or I would say sometimes you take on other people's feelings and their pain, you know, and that's where, I'm probably not going to be able to find it quickly. I will text it to you when I find it, because it's five rules or kind of life lessons that every empath needs to know. But it's basically really about setting boundaries and learning to not take on. And that's why I think I can do this work and it doesn't exhaust me, because I'm compassionate. Whenever I find it, I'll send it to you. I'm compassionate and I'm empathetic, but I don't...
Make it your own.
Yeah.
You're sympathetic, not empathetic.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm more sympathetic. But it's not that I can't feel what somebody's going through, because I can.
You just choose not to make it yours.
Yeah. And so
or take responsibility for it.
I think that's the biggest thing, is the responsibility part. Because I think that I truly, truly get that what people are going through is necessary, so I don't want to take their pain away. And I think most empaths probably want to take other people's pain away.
The thing for me, like, is when it starts affecting me, like, one of my roommates, like, she just keeps slamming the door, or, like, she's leaving things open. It's just, like, my control factor wants to kick in and, like, teach her something else.
Right.
Just be like, it's appropriate for you to do this, or just, like, be more sensitive to the fact that just because you're saying good morning isn't really the time that I'm getting up at that time. And, or, like, leaving hallway light on that affects my bedroom, or it's just, like, no consciousness of like my existence, or and so, I get really upset, especially if my sleep is interrupted. Like, I'm like a child, like, don't interrupt my sleep.
I'm the same way, so I get that. My sleep is super important too, and sleep is important, so it's good that you protect
my
yourself.
thing is, like, my dreams, like, I want to stay in my dreams as long as possible, so I get mad and, like, other people interfere with that, and, like, sometimes you can say, like, God, like, some weird stuff's been happening, like my cat will wake me up, and it has no... But that also bothers me because it has to do with my environment. Like, if I had, like, a normal house, I could just have my bedroom door open. And my cat wouldn't have to shake my door open to come in.
So, right. And you know, all those things are good to know. So you will manifest that. If that's what you really want, then that will happen. In the meantime, you can look at your situation as a real gift. Because those triggers that are happening in you, your control trigger, your anger trigger, your judgment trigger, those are triggering because you're in that situation. If you were in a situation where you weren't being triggered, then you wouldn't be healing. So you can use the opportunity while you're setting yourself up to be in that other space as a great gift to
triggering my boundaries and triggering
to heal and to be okay right where you are and not let those things disturb your harmony. Because
sometimes I reflect back though and I blow up really hard. Like, I have to, like, basically bitch at and say, like, listen, this is my boundaries, like, and I have to, like, call people out. And, like, sometimes
when we're first learning to set boundaries, we tend to go to the anger side to say what we mean because we don't know how to set the boundary, or we feel maybe even pissed that we even have to set the boundary. And that's okay. That's part of the pendulum. You know, that's part of the learning curve. You know, and so don't. I used to beat myself up for being angry, and then I realized I was working with somebody actually who told me, you know, you're allowed to be angry because I had such horrible things happen to me as a child, and I was never allowed to be angry about it. I was supposed to have this perfect family, and nothing was ever supposed to be said, and I was never allowed to be angry with them or about any of it, right?
Yeah.
And so it just bottled up, and so any little thing would trigger my anger, and I was a rager. I mean, I was throwing shit across the room.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. And so then when I was told, you know what? You're allowed to be angry. I mean, you had a lot to be angry for. And so it's just the key is to get your anger out in a way that doesn't engage with somebody else.
So how would you do that?
So
what's safe or what's appropriate?
What was effective for me, well, she suggested, like, you could punch a pillow. That never felt right for me. I'm not, like, violent in that way, you know.
I'd be like, I want to punch a face.
Right. Yeah, it's a fucking pillow. Who cares? But no. What one thing that was really effective was writing a letter to my abuser and to my mother. Not sending the letter, but just getting it out there. Like, fuck you. You ruined my, just all of it. Just letting it flow. And then burning it, So there were things like that were, and I did a lot of things. I did a lot of, Reiki and energy work and all the different.
I became a Reiki master.
Yeah. All the different modalities to release that trapped energy. Acupuncture, all of it. I've done, you name it, I've done it. So I think all in all of it cumulatively was helpful. It's just wherever my path, flower essences, they were huge.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Okay, so I was working with somebody who was pretty much a coach, but she was more of a holistic kind of healer, and she was pretty intuitive too. And she had this sheet, and I wish I knew more about it so I could really offer you more, but she had this sheet that you would go through and basically pick, it would be groupings of kind of emotions that you're dealing with. Anger, control, sadness, hurt, whatever. And then she would have you rate them. And then she would pick a flower essence that correlated with that particular set of emotions. And she would make a tincture. And then you would take the tincture, so many times a day for like 2 weeks or whatever. And basically what it does is it takes the veil. Like we have these layers and layers and layers, like in our energetic field.
You mean like our aura? Like 7 layers of aura? Or?
Yeah, it's even kind of beyond aura, I think. It's just kind of all of our human shit that gets piled up. But it's more than just our energetic body. It's our energetic field. And it was almost like these veils just started peeling away, like the layers and the veils, and they just disappeared, and everything just became lighter and clearer. And the one thing about flower essences is that they heal you, like it's gone. Like,
what do you mean? So like it was like a tincture of like roses and lilacs,
right?
And like
rosewood, dogwood, blah 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 blah. I mean, I forget even the flowers that I used, but she would in a
and that's
bottle.
Called flower essence.
Flower, like Bach, BACH. And Diane's, like they sell Bach flower essences, and so you can do some research flower essences, and there's books out there, there's all kinds of stuff online.
It's so funny for you to say that, because it's kind of like a trigger for me, because I've been doing this thing where except I use like actual flowers.
Okay.
And I don't use the tinctures, but I'll buy rose petals and I'll do baths with the certain flowers.
Right. And so that could be probably just as effective, but yes, you're getting the oils of the flowers into you when you take a bath, or doing like essential oils, that same type of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, do some research on flower essences and the different emotions. Yeah, exactly. So I've done all of that sort of stuff that has helped, to release anger. You'll find your path on what works for you. Forgiveness is huge.
I feel like I need a list of what am I supposed to do?
Okay.
Yoga, mindfulness, meditation.
I would say start with if you've done.
That's my homework.
Yeah. If you've done yoga and yoga really hasn't connected with you just yet, I mean it's a great practice.
That's why I'm trying Tai Chi now.
Okay, perfect.
I really
just explore. Like you're at a great time in your life to explore and to, I mean, like I said, in my 30s through to now, I've done all kinds of different healing modalities and tried all kinds of different things. And it all worked. It just all was necessary at that particular junction in my healing. So whatever you're pulled to. So flower essences go study that. That would be one homework. The other homework I would say would be the mindfulness. So what you're doing is you don't have to create a sacred space. You could be practicing mindfulness right here, right now. All you have to be doing is feeling your body. So you're sitting here talking to me. We can be having a conversation, but I could be thinking about that noise out there or thinking about whatever, right? I wouldn't be present.
Yeah.
I would be sitting here in this chair, but I wouldn't be present because my mind would be somewhere else. Have you ever been having a conversation with somebody and then went, oh shit, what did they just say?
Yeah, or a blackout, and I'm like, what just happened?
Exactly. That's because your mind was somewhere else. So all being present means is that you're right here, right now.
So
Your
being
mind
present is
here.
mindfulness.
That's all being present is mindfulness. And mindfulness is achieved when you drop into your body. Because when you are in your body, feeling your body, like feel your butt right now. Your butt is sitting there in that chair, right?
Yeah.
You're feeling your butt, you're dropping into your body. You're not in your head. You can't be both places at once, effectively, We can't really ever be two places. Well, we can't if we do the whole spiritual time travel. That's all true. But our physical body, if we drop in, we're dropping into our physical body, but really what we're doing is connecting to our higher self. We're reestablishing that connection because the mind, the ego, takes us out of that connection. It separates us from that. So every time you can give yourself a break from your head and feel your body, that's the practice of mindfulness. So you could be doing that driving in your car. You don't have to close your eyes to do it. You could be doing that, having a conversation. You could be, actually driving's a really great place to be mindful, right? How many times have you gone from point A to point B and go, wow, I don't even remember that drive? It's because you were thinking and your body's on autopilot. The driving's on autopilot. But you're not there in your car feeling the steering wheel, listening, hearing, smelling, So the more that you can do that in your day-to-day activities, great. But to sit down and really build the muscle that's going to make it easier to drop into that space whenever you think about it, or setting your phone for like every hour, set an alarm. And when that alarm goes off, you stop. Even if it's 30 seconds, you stop, check where your thoughts are, let go of the thoughts, and then come into your body. Because that's what we want. We always want to see where our thoughts are. If you develop a physical sensation, a fearful, anxietal, whatever.
Or like an old pain bottled up.
Yep. If you feel that, if you can immediately stop, drop into your body, and then check your thoughts. That's key. Checking your thoughts is key because it's always the thought that's going to create that. And it's always the separation from being present that's going to create the dis-ease. So if you want to do it though as an actual, sit down in a quiet room and practice it, then basically all you're doing is closing your eyes. And I think mantras are really helpful, especially somebody with a really active brain. I got to tell you, when I first started meditating, it was like, thought, mantra, mantra, thought.
So what kind of mantras then? What do you mean, like, I am safe, or?
Yep, that's a good one. So hum means I am. So hum. Om is a good one. You can Google mantras and just see what they mean and what, like Sanskrit, especially mantras.
Okay.
And see if
Sanskrit
something
homework.
speaks to you. Yeah. And then all you do is you sit there and you just, close your eyes and start repeating the mantra over and over and over again. When you recognize you're not repeating the mantra and you're thinking a thought, let go of the thought and come back to the mantra. And do that for at least 12 minutes. That will give you all the benefits if you do at least 12 minutes a day. If you can do 20 minutes twice a day, you'll get there way quicker.
But start with 12 minutes at least minimum.
At least, yeah. And I'm a real morning person, so I get way more benefit from if I'm only doing one meditation a day from doing an afternoon meditation. That works better for me. So that's all you have to do though, is just repeat the mantra, and when you recognize you're thinking, just let go of the thought and come back to repeating the mantra. Do it as many times as you need to, because every time you do it, you're building the muscle. So it's not like, oh my God, I had another thought, I'm doing this wrong.
Yeah.
No. Recognizing you're having the thought and coming back to a mantra is doing it right.
Do you think doing that will help me focus? Like, I've been having a hard time reading. Like, I can't even sit still and read.
Absolutely. Yeah. So they've done studies. They've done hundreds and hundreds of scientific studies on what meditation actually physiologically does to the body.
Okay.
Physiologically.
Yeah.
And they've hooked people up to brainwave machines. Like they've gone into mental institutions and prisons, and what they find is that people that have issues, we'll say, the two hemispheres of the brain waves actually are opposite of each other. Like everything's kind of chaotic. And then when they start to meditate, everything starts moving in sync back and forth between the two hemispheres. And so it definitely calms you, definitely clears the brain. You definitely can get more information. Information can come through because you're opening up that space to allow that to happen. Creativity, ideas. I tell people keep a notepad, because it's not necessary. You'll know the difference between a thought that you're having versus, oh my God, that was an answer to a prayer or an answer to a question, and then just write it down and then just go back to mantra.
Yeah, because that also has messed me up too, because it's like, like sometimes I'll be in that space and I'll be like, oh my God, like, or I'm in the yoga and I'm like, oh, I need to write this down. And that's why I'm like, I need my phone. And I just like feel like a jerk because everyone's having a class. I'm just like, I'm channeling, something's happening.
Yes. Yeah. So just keep a notepad by you and write it down. But also trust that if something comes through and it's necessary for you to know, you're not going to forget it. You're going to know it. So trust.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, because I actually just ordered Mindfulness for Dummies.
Oh, that's so funny.
I needed something basic.
Yeah. It's, it's super easy, but it's probably one of the hardest things that people have to learn how to do, is to let go of their brain, because we're taught from a very early age to get a brain and to nourish the brain and to make the brain stronger and to learn to read and to learn to this and that and, all of it. So, and then we spend the rest of our life learning how to let go of it all, to be peaceful. It's not about not having struggles or noise or chaos or trials and tribulations. It's about having all of that and still being okay in your heart. That's the key to peace. And the key to that is not letting your thoughts screw it up.
Which is so easy.
Yeah, it's the human condition. It's,
And then, I know we're probably pressing for time. So I was wondering though, like you were talking about like how you got a certification to be a life coach, or like there was another thing that you said I could get, the yoga instructor.
Yeah.
Where does a person begin to do that? Or
so there is the people who trained me, and what month are we in?
April.
Oh God.
I know.
All right. They usually do theirs, like they start in the fall and they go through till like June. So those, if they're doing it, they won't start again until the fall. I think theirs is around $2,000 to get trained. And
for which one?
For yoga teacher training. That's a local couple who does it. It's called Two Suns Rising Yoga. And
like it's accreditation, like no matter where I go in the world, it's acknowledged, or how does that work?
Here's the interesting thing. There isn't actually an accreditation.
So really, I could just go to like 1,000 yoga classes or whatever.
And you could. Now, if you want to be or registered, okay, if you want to be a registered yoga teacher, then you have to take 200 hours of training from a registered teacher training school, and this is all through Yoga Alliance. There's no governing board of this,
Oh, wow.
It might carry a little more
Are you
weight.
registered?
I am registered. I registered at first because that's what everybody does.
So I could become registered through you?
Oh, no, I'm registered with Yoga Alliance. I am not registered. So you have to be registered 500 hours of training to be able to teach teachers. I'm only registered 200 hours to be able to teach yoga classes.
Do longer.
Yeah.
Hint, hint, hint.
But yeah, so for the first year I did sign up with Yoga Alliance. It's like $50 a year, or I think it was $100 to sign up, and then it's like $50 a year. But when I started working at this studio, they required insurance. Well, you can get insurance for like $120 for the year for like $1 million of insurance coverage, through Yoga Alliance. You can't touch that anywhere else. So it's worth it to be
a member.
Plus, it just holds more weight when you're going into a studio. You know, it proves that you've had legitimate teacher training. Not that you couldn't, you know, go out on your own and say, hey, you know, market it on social media or whatever. I'm going to be at the pier at this day at this time to teach beach yoga. Anybody want to show up? It's a donation class kind of thing. You know, you can do that all day long.
What about the life coaching stuff?
So life coaching, again, you probably don't necessarily have to be certified to do it because there's no governing body of that. And if you are just, you know, more naturally inclined, like everybody was always coming to me for advice anyway. That's why I became a life coach, because I like, well, everybody does it. I'm already doing it anyway. I'm good at it. Why not make money? So I was trained, and I forget at the time, it was like, I don't know, $3,000 to be trained or something like that. And the thing that I took away from it that was very helpful was it helped me to hone my coaching skills, which were about asking questions, you know, and what types of questions to ask and how to ask those questions. But the majority of it is really just kind of intuitive, and that really has evolved for me too, is the intuitive part.
My jerk question though is like, so how did paying a $3,000, like what, you get a certificate? Yep. Okay. Oh, coach training alignment?
Yep. Yeah. So does it make a difference in the actual coaching of people? Not a whole lot. You're either good at it or you're not good at it, and people either come to you or they won't. Nobody has ever asked me my certification. You know, it's more about connecting. It's more about, you know, people feel comfortable with you. I get a lot of my coaching clients from my health clients. People come to me for weight loss, you know, and then going through that whole weight loss journey, figure out, oh, there's a lot more going on under the surface here. Usually is. And then they end up becoming life coaching clients. So that's a big way that I get my life coaching clients.
I guess I almost want to be like, last question. So like when you do life coaching, like what other things do you offer for people? Or like what would you define life coaching? Or what, are you going to tell me you go back to school? Or are you going to tell me,
so
like, do you give me homework? Or how does this work if someone's a regular patient or client?
It's different for everybody. It's dependent upon what they need. I never have a plan. I never have a script. I never go in thinking I'm going to know any answers. I never write anything down, you know. It's just whatever comes up.
Do the clients write things down?
Sometimes. Some of them keep journals, and some of them, you know, write it down or notes on their phones, or but it's more about them doing the work. So they're either going to want to do the work or not do the work. So homework is just really dependent upon what it is they're going through and what they need, or setting goals, or sometimes they just need to chat because they're going through a divorce and they need, you know.
I was kind of going to angle at that, like what are some kind of like homework you would give someone, like if someone needs help in having a relationship, like would you tell someone to go see a therapist, or would you tell someone, or like what are some options of things that...
It depends, and there's lots of different tools out there. I suggest different books to read. I suggest you know, various things. I a lot of times send my people, like, you know, if I know they're going through something, I'll send them snippets of things to read, or articles or whatever. But as far as a therapist is concerned, if I see somebody is really stuck and I know I can't help them because I can't work with victims, you know, victimhood is more for therapy.
So that's how you just, I was wondering how you figured that stuff out.
Yeah, that's really kind of the determination. I can tell if I can work with somebody or not work with them.
What if someone's self-destructive? I was like, what if someone's self-destructive?
That too, you know, that would probably be a referral out. But generally speaking, the people who the universe connects me to, they're not in that space. They're in a space of... Coaching is dynamic.
What if I feel like I'm in both? Like sometimes like I'm totally chaotic and self-destructive, and like other times I'm like, all right, I'm open to this. Like I'll go back to my old ways, and like something like will tell me, like a big thing for, like I recently actually stopped smoking marijuana. I've been smoking marijuana since I was a kid, and I'm like 7 months clean. But like now that I get like stressed out and stuff, I just want to maybe we should just smoke.
Yeah.
Or like let's eat shitty food again. I want
Right.
popcorn
Right.
and chocolate and
those
bread.
are all just responses. They're thoughts, but it's because you're going back to a comfort zone.
You're right.
And so
yep.
you're just changing habits. So what I want you to replace it with now
Yes.
is the meditation, is the mindfulness. When you get those thoughts, separate yourself from the
Chill, Trina.
Yep. Separate yourself from not only the thought, but the action. Give yourself a moment to get present and see then if there's a different response, you know? And it sounds like you're doing well with avoiding going back there, which is great.
Yeah. But the temptation, my lady, is so strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like yesterday I caved and I bought bread.
Yeah.
Like I ate like 6 rolls.
Okay. How'd you feel after that?
I mean, it was kind of fulfilling. It was just
Yeah.
like, yeah. Like,
So where were your thoughts when you did that?
I needed comfort. I instantly wanted potatoes and shrimp and bread rolls.
Because you were feeling fearful about what?
I was just like, I don't know. I got into like a really chaotic state yesterday. I can't even mention, like, I don't even know what happened. I randomly started like crying. I was judging my emotions. I didn't understand what was happening. I was in a very spiritual state. And yeah, I'm sharing this stuff on YouTube or whatever. And then like people are like, hate to break it down to you, but there is no Akashic records and there is no soul. And like, it just got really dark and just like, I mean, I read that after I had all that meltdown, by the way, too. So I wonder if that kind of was just put at towards me and I was feeling that. So I was wondering that, and then
what you're wanting to do is change people's minds.
But I want to drastically change everything is what I feel like right now.
Okay.
Burn everything to the ground and start from fresh.
Right? Wouldn't that be a fresh breath of fresh air?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Check your motivation. Check your motivation for what you're doing. If your motivation is, I want to change the world and I want to change your mind, I want to change your opinion.
Is that bad?
Yeah, it's going to cause pain and suffering in you because you're not going to change everything.
Yeah, because I'm not getting through to anybody.
No. Your motivation is, I need to speak my truth and because there's people out there who need to hear it and the people who need to hear it are going to hear it and it's going to help them. I'm just speaking my truth. You can believe it or not believe it. You don't have attachment to what anybody else thinks about it.
I get like really obsessed about like the conspiracy theory stuff, like the fact that people don't want to see that like there's one World Bank going on,
right?
And there's only 3 countries that are involved,
right.
Or the fact that it doesn't matter who you vote for,
right.
Or like the healthcare system and how they and how they're involved with drugs and heroin in the pill form and
see those are all external realities that are symptoms of that fearful mindset. So whether or not those things are true, and I believe a lot of that does exist, but I know the only way to truly make a difference in the world is heal yourself and spread love. Don't connect to any of those things. Don't give it energy, because you thinking about it and being pissed off about it or wanting to change it,
it gives that energy.
It gives it energy. So you stay.
I want to wake the people up, though. I want them to understand the bigger picture going on.
Wake the people up, you're going to help them to heal themselves. Because the more that people heal themselves, the less they need for that trigger of their pain body, as Eckhart Tolle will say.
I've been studying about the pain body. It's cool you brought that up.
Yes. So they're feeding their pain body with that. So you don't have to open their eyes to any of that. You have to open their hearts. Or you don't have to do that. But by you opening your heart, that's putting that energy into the world, and that's going to help people open their heart. By you being vulnerable, you're helping other people to feel safe to be vulnerable. And that's the key. The key is to be vulnerable, and the key is to let go of all of that fear. That's how the world's going to change. It's not going to change.
But I'm not afraid that that's going on. It's just that it's almost like I want people to realize, like, the Matrix, it's actually happening. That, like, they get so brainwashed. Like, you think that you have to go to school and learn this, and that they don't realize that the school teachings are teaching us this to, like, programming, or how they're trying to change history. Like, think about they're trying to tear down all the Confederate monuments. Like, trying to. Yeah, I can see how it causes irritation, but that's not my intention when I come from that place. I just want people to be aware and to not believe everything that's told on the television, or recognize that television is programming. I mean, it's just... So, you're wanting people to question what they believe. So that's the fifth amendment, the
what is it?
Commandment?
No, I'm not really. I don't know what the commandments are. Four Agreements. It's the Fifth Agreement. Have you read that book? The Four
No,
Agreements?
I've heard about it though.
It's fabulous. And the Fifth Agreement that he knew about at the time that he wrote the Four Agreements, but didn't think the world was ready for. Just recently, he unveiled the Fifth Agreement, which is question everything. Don't believe everything that you've thought to be true. Question it all. So I think people are moving more towards that. You just have to check your motivation, and you have to really, you have to decide what is going to be the best use of your knowledge, your voice, your energy, and your time for the greater good. You know, whether it's out there opening people's eyes to that, which is going to create pushback, which is fine, but you can't take it personally. Or if you are needed in a capacity that is different than that, who knows? Your generation is definitely more about in your face and let's blow this wide open, which is fabulous. You know, but I think too, because of your empathic nature, that you need to figure out a way to put up a shield, and so you don't take it all personally. But I can tell you that you also aren't going to want to engage with that kind of energy either.
Yeah.
So it's just perpetuating it, and that's not what we want to perpetuate. We want to perpetuate love, because it's the only thing. There's only two emotions, love and fear.
Fear being the lowest vibration, love being the highest.
Absolutely. So you have a choice every single day. What are you going to tap into? Really, if you start talking about all that other stuff, that is fear-based.
You're right.
It's all fear-based.
Yeah.
So choose what you want to talk about. You know, choose the message that you want to bring into the world. If your motivation for talking about that stuff is to open people's eyes so we can change it, that's the longer route to get where you want to be. Love is going to be, because that's still in the fear-based realm.
Yeah, because that's usually what happens. Like, people revolt because they're like, oh, well, what can we do about
They're
it?
afraid. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know all those things exist, but I choose not to engage with it, and I choose not to watch the news, and I choose...
It doesn't stop them from, like, taking children's blood and from, like, all the other stuff going on.
Right, but...
And it was like, it's frustrating because people are just accepting, like, rape culture or pedophilia, and, like, it's just becoming, oh, it's normal. Every girl deals with that.
No,
like, that's where it's getting right now.
Yeah,
like,
trust, though, that there is a spiritual revolution. Trust that you know, the indigo children like yourself, that you're brought here to, you know, because we're bringing in a new crop, you know, that everything's going to start to change, you know, and trust that that's happening, and that all of that is going to be blown wide open, and it's not going to be necessary anymore because the underlying current is now going to be love.
Because the light has already won.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've heard that a couple times.
Yeah. The light will always win. So don't go to the darkness. You know, you got to stay in the light. You have to. And that's love.
Light and love, yeah.
That's the only place that it is. So I think meditation's going to be helpful for you. What was the other thing that I was going to say? Journaling, yes. So journal when you start to feel, when you're triggered in any way.
Dude, I've been doing video journaling on YouTube, and I just vent everything out.
Well,
I just don't even care what happens. I just put it out there. I'm like, this is my day. Today might not be good. And I feel this way about this, and this is that. And
but what I want you to start doing is recognizing when you're triggered, what fear is coming up. Like, where are your thoughts? Because you can get triggered and you can vent. But that's a symptom. What's the core that's
what's the fear?
That's triggering that symptom and that reaction? So you can get to that. That's what you can heal. And then
heal fear?
Huh?
Heal fear?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. But you can heal the trigger. So whatever's the fear that is being triggered will look different in any situation.
I'm
But there's
asking, how do I heal the trigger? Like, how do I stop letting it
because
make
first
me
you
cry or angry?
First, you have to be aware of what it is.
Mm.
You can't heal something and get
Ignore
rid of
it. Yeah.
You know, if you don't know what it is, you know you're angry, you know you're sad, you know that there are certain things that trigger those things that create the rant or the throwing shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? But really, what is it? What's the underlying fear? And being present is going to help you because it's going to take a lot of that fear away. But then, you know, when you feel that, stop and look at your thoughts. Where are your thoughts? And that's what I want you to write down. I want you to start seeing a pattern or a theme, you know, and then really get to that fear and really start addressing that fear because it's not real. You're only believing it to be real. But the more you can shine the light on that, the less it has a
What's the
hold on
fear in jealousy?
Jealousy is about lack. It's about
Insecurity?
Insecurity, big time. Yeah. It's always lack. It's always feeling like we're not getting what we're supposed to have, you know, or getting our piece of the pie. It's always fear is lack. It's lack of some sort. We're not good enough. We're not getting enough. We're not going to have enough. We're not pretty enough.
Not
we're
good
not
enough,
smart
yeah.
enough. We're not. It's always lack. There isn't any lack. The only lack's in your head. It doesn't really exist.
Right on.
You just have
I
to
feel like I have a lot of homework to do.
Good.
Definitely want to come to your mindfulness class too.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know when I'll be doing it again, but I'll
Maybe you need me to be the bug in your ear that says promo.
do it. Yeah. I
Promo.
mean, I teach yoga 3 mornings a week and then coach all week long, and so yeah, I do. I have had a few people now that have requested it, so.
I'm sure, especially if you told like all your yoga classes, like, hey, we're working on this mindfulness thing. If you really like this, and you find you're stuck in your head, or you
Yeah.
keep going to your phone or whatever,
Yeah.
then you need to attend this class.
Yeah. Well, I talk a lot about it in yoga too. I bring a lot of that into the yoga practice, so people can.
So I could just join yoga and still get a mindfulness class.
Sure. Well, bits of it.
Yeah.
I'm constantly reminding people, connect to your breath, and then we do a little meditation to begin and shavasana at the end, of course. But yeah.
So mindfulness is also breath work, pranayama.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're connecting to your breath, you're being mindful because you're not in your head.
Got it.
Yeah. Anything that gets you out of your thoughts is mindfulness. Mindfulness just means you're not stuck in your thoughts.
Could that be running? Could I be running? Skateboarding?
It depends on what you're thinking when you're doing it. If you are in the zone and you're feeling your feet pounding the ground and you're feeling your muscles in your legs and you're feeling your body breathing and you're looking around and smelling and hearing and sensing, then you're being mindful when you're running. If you're, skateboarding and you're like, okay, you have to be in your body to stay on that skateboard unless you can just do it like driving a car without mindfulness. But you can be doing any activity and not be present, really. So just, the act of mindfulness as far as an exercise for it is mantra, letting go of thought, mantra, letting go of thought, mantra,
Yeah.
That's really the best exercise.
How do you feel about YouTube guided meditations? Try that?
Guided meditations are great as far as getting people to relax. Doesn't get them out of their head because they're still in their thinking brain. So
Is there a music I would play? Or
you don't have to. I mean, if that's something that helps you, I would say something more of a frequency, of a tone.
Yeah, hertz. That's what I'm thinking.
Exactly. That's fine. I mean, it's not going to hurt, but it's not necessary. Nothing is necessary. You can walk down the street, and as long as you feel every footstep kissing the ground with your feet, you're being mindful. So.
I feel like you have so much knowledge. It's mind blowing.
Oh, thanks. Well, it's hard one. But
Well
it's
earned.
necessary. It was necessary, I guess. Yeah, or I wouldn't have learned it.
Appreciate you taking me in on the last moment too.
Oh, absolutely.
I know I feel bad because time.
Yeah, I do have something at 3:30, but I haven't heard the door thing, so he might be running late. He is an FPL guy, so sometimes he gets tied up too with, especially with the rain and stuff like that. So maybe I won't see him. But It was wonderful to meet
too.
you.
Thank
Give me
you.
a hug.
Gladly.
You're great. Well, I expect great things from you.
Thank you.
So yeah, if you ever want to get together again, you know, anytime that you feel you need to kind of get a reboot, I'm always here for you, and I can give you a yoga schedule.
Yes, I'm definitely interested in all of that stuff.
Yeah. And then I'll definitely put you on the list for meditation. I'm gonna do that again. And I want to send you that empath thing too. Hey,
Hey there.
how are ya?
All right. How you doing?
Good.
Hi.
Hi there.
I'll be right with you. You got here in good time today.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I actually left work late, so there's
Traffic must not have been so bad.
the road I just turned on as well.
Really? Yeah, I heard parts of downtown were flooded. All right, my dear.
Thank you.
Oh, here's your yoga schedule.
Oh, awesome.
And definitely.
Are these donation based or?
No, the prices are on the back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So hopefully I'll see you in yoga.
Sweet.
Call me if you need me.
Will do.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Oh, let me give you my cell phone number.
Yeah, I'll text you so I can get that empath stuff.
Yes, definitely. I'll
Awesome.
send that to you. All right, my dear.
Have a great session, guys.
Bye.
Well, wasn't that interesting? So that's what happens when you go to a life coach. It felt a lot like spiritual guidance, you know? Except she's like not hiding behind saying she's doing hold on, I'm clumsy right now. She's not hiding behind saying that she's doing, she's talking to her angels or whatever. Though I did feel like she was Palladian, and I felt like she was definitely getting messages from Source and definitely in tune with her angels. And I just started getting all kinds of different messages that I definitely want to incorporate. Like I said, and like she said, a lot of things that I'm doing right now, I feel like are all things that I've already known. And that kind of gets frustrating because, like, I know, though, the greatest thing that I was reminded of was about how basically the divine has a master plan and how somehow all this comes together. And like, I wouldn't have heard that today if I didn't have that approach. Alright, hold on. Right now I'm wondering if I passed Fifi's or not. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. I think I did pass Fifi's, though. I'm not really sure. There's also like a yoga studio up here. Hey, I might not have passed Fifi's. So that means there might be other things on the agenda. Look, here it is. Massage therapy. I think there's also a yoga shop. Alright, I always wanted to go here. I'm going in there. You gonna let me go? No. No! Why would they let me go? So this place is called, sorry guy. My turn signal turned itself off or something. Please let me go. Alright. Look, this place is called Peaceful Spirit. I'm tempted to bring you in there with me. Though I feel like I should cut this first. And I totally have to use the bathroom so bad. I have to pee so bad. So bad. All right. Well, I love you. I hope that was an enjoyable experience for you. I hope that perhaps you will choose to go ahead and try a life coach. As you can see, it's very enlightening, although you might want to find someone that really resonates with you, you know? I did like a lot of things she's saying. I would like to see her again, you know? I think that that's something I'll definitely do in my future. And I'm pretty excited, you know? I'm glad to have you with me. I'm glad for all these things. I started getting all kinds of different messages in my head when I was talking to her, you know, some things I almost wish that I had written down. And it's just really enlightening. And I know that this isn't really for everyone, though I'm thankful for every one of you, especially since, you know, straight up, right now at the end of this video or whatever, if you're watching this entire thing, like, I'm going to show you as a view count, and the only way that I'm aware that it actually counts as a view count or whatever is if you actually watch the entire thing. Like, I'm pretty sure that's how that works. So thank you, and I hope that you got something out of this and that we can spend more time together. I'm really looking forward to this trip in Virginia, and I'm so excited to share with you what I learn next. And I'm going to attempt to be more mindful of the things that I'm putting out and the energy that I bring to the space, okay? I love you. Bye.